Welcome back to Bonanza Disc Golf Sweaty Edition, because I just played around here in Fernie Park, I believe, in New Orleans, and I wanted to talk to you guys about how to make practice putting not so boring, as well as why, to me, it's just not boring inherently. During all this too, I'm gonna be making sure that I get my practice putts done for Project 100. I think I'm about 100 behind, so I need to do 200 today. And there's gonna be 3 tips that I have for you to make practice putting not boring. Most of them are games. First of all, the mentality that you need to have. Gonna get some quick 10, 15 foot warm-ups in. But for me, honestly, practice putting is not super boring because of the mentality that I have with it. I was listening to a podcast today with Brody Smith and the Foundation Boys. I think it was debate night. And they were actually talking about practice putting. Everyone seems to be talking about practice putting. They were talking about it today. Robbie C was talking about it yesterday. I was talking about it on Saturday. But Brody was saying that for him, practice putting isn't like a boring experience because he's thinking about it from a professional level. And since, if you're new to the channel, my main goal is to cash at a Pro Tour event. I've been playing since this past January, about 11 months ago, and I'm trying to get good enough to play and cash at a Pro Tour event. I know that I'm super behind on the putts that other people who are playing on tour have made in their lifetime. I just don't have the muscle memory yet. So to me, getting out here on the practice field feels like I'm catching up. It feels like I'm learning consistently because I want to be able to putt as well as I possibly can. But at the same time, I feel like I need to just practice the reps, give myself the muscle memory of banging tons and tons of 15, 25, 35, 45 foot putts. But I know that's not a lot of your guys' goal. And to be honest, on this channel, I'm just sharing my experience. I'm not a coach. I don't want to be a coach. But even sometimes having inside of your head that you know that you missed a bunch of 15 foot putts with your buddies and you want to whoop their butts this weekend can help you to get on the practice green to make 100 putts, because my minimum for Project 100 is 100 putts a day, which is for me to make sure I'm staying consistent. Obviously, I want to do a lot more than that, but it's been hard with all the content that I've been putting out, and I'm weighing those correctly in my opinion for now. But 100 putts a day is only like, what, 10, 15 minutes? I think you can get out and do that if you want to, and make sure that your disc golf game goes to the next level. So practice putting becomes less boring when you have an actual reason to be doing it, which for me is trying to play on the Pro Tour. For you, it doesn't have to be that, but maybe winning your next tournament, whatever division you play, or even making sure that you don't miss any inside the circle or 15 foot putts at your next tournament. Okay, so now that we cared all about putting, I have 10 practice putters here. You don't need 10 practice putters. I would say minimum 2, because you probably want 2 putters anyways, just while you're playing disc golf. And honestly, one way to make practice putting not boring that I wasn't gonna include in this video, because this is more about if you're at a practice basket staying, is how I like to practice putt when I'm actually playing rounds that are training rounds, not like fun rounds or tournament rounds or anything. And I'll actually bring 4 putters in my bag. I always carry these, and I'll always putt from most of the spots that I throw 1 or 2 drives with these 4 putters. I have in the past made sure that I made 10 putts at every single hole. And if you do that across 9 holes at a 9 hole or 18 holes, you've made 90 or 180 practice putts just in playing your normal round. It does take an extra minute or 2 at every single hole, but that's only an extra minute or 2 every single hole. It will make your round longer, but that's how I've gotten some practice putts in that are on actual baskets that you might play on in case you're practicing on a practice basket that you never really actually play on, like my MVP Black Hole Light, and from a bunch of different places, lower than the basket, higher than the basket, straddle, inline, a bunch of different ways to do that. The first thing that we're gonna do to make practice putting not boring is going to be just the typical, you got 2 putters, you put down a mini marker, or just even another putter, because it's a little easier, or another disc. You walk however many feet you wanna start at. For me, it's probably about 15, 2, 3, 4, 5. Set that down, you have to make 2 to move on. Since I made both of those, I can come collect them, go back to the marker again. This is probably a game that all of you guys have played. Everyone seems to talk about this. Move that 1 more step, so now I'm at 18 feet, make 2 to move on. The problem is, if you only make 1 putt, so 1 goes in, 1 goes out, you stay where you are. If you make 0 putts, you go back 1 step, so from 15 to 18. And I played a variation of this with myself to add just a little bit of pressure, where instead of 2, I'll actually take 5 putters, and if I'm at 18 or even farther, and I miss every single putter, I'll have to start over at 15 feet. But from here, if I make 3 or 4, I'll stay where I am. 5, I'll move back. 1 or 2, I'll move forward. And 0, I start over. I have heard some people talk about, oh, you want to reset every putt. I personally don't worry about doing that. But one variation of this game that I have seen on YouTube recently is Robbie C's variation of the game that he just it's kind of funny. He kind of but I made a video about why I don't think mold minimalization is the best thing to do to build your bag. Put a different mold in your bag if it fits a slot better than you want, instead of trying to force a mold to do everything. However, he posted a video, he's like, you shouldn't set an arbitrary number of, say, 100 putts a day.
Rather than saying this ambiguous,
well, I want to make sure that I make 100 putts a day, because that should be nice.
We're beefing, I'm so angry at you. And that's exactly what I'm doing in Project 100. He's saying more you should do it time-based. 10 minutes, go. The way that he actually does it is 3 putters. Definitely go watch his video, I'll link it below. And I'm not gonna give it all away, but essentially he says you need to make 3 to move on, 1 from straddle, a second from straddle, and then 1 from inline so that you do your non-dominant putting stance. You make 3 to move on. So that's a pretty interesting variation of that. And I even saw one comment on his channel that was from somebody, I'll put it right down here, that they said that you should switch between them. So if I'm putting from here, if I do straddle, I should do straddle first, and then my inline putt, because then I'm resetting my feet, and then I'll do my other straddle putt. Personally, whenever I'm straddle putting, if I'm not just trying to bang out reps, I'll always try to move side to side. That way I am resetting my feet. That's something that I think Calvin Heimberg said in one of his putting videos that he always tries to do. But that's one way that you can make practice putting not boring, just gamifying it. Oh, I gotta move forward for the first time, dang it. Oh, I think that's my timer. Okay, a couple of amendments that I would make, not amendments, but addendums that I would make to this challenge are, first, I like the 10-minute time limit because I could keep going from there, but I like the reset after, 10 minutes and do it a couple more times. Even if I'm doing it for a half hour, 10-minute time limit, may take a couple minutes off, but I think that this might be the favorite way that I practice putting so far. I have no idea how many I made, but I mean, I probably did close to 50 to 100-ish. I made a lot, and I was really focusing on that 30 to 36 foot range. I would have had to move back to 33 feet there, or maybe that was a really good way to practice those longer ones and to stay in that range, and it made me practice my inline, which I don't do. It made me realize how far I can push those, make me focus on, hey, I need to hit this one to move on, so I need to really figure this putt out, because there are gonna be times when I have to inline putt because I'm like in between trees or something weird, or I just like feel off of my straddle that day. So I wanna have both of those in the bag, so to say, ready to go. So, second way to practice. The second iteration of a putting game that was actually suggested in my Project 100 Facebook group, I think by Loren. Loren suggested that you take 10 putters and you go from whatever mark you're struggling with. He said 25 feet. I say 25 feet. If you feel like you can't make them from 15 feet, do it there, maybe a little bit longer. I like 25 for me right now even. So, and then from 25 feet here, you take 10 putters, and if you miss any, those are out, and you go until you have no putters left. And this gamifies it because then you have a high score that you can try to beat over and over again, and it puts some added pressure on you in case you miss putts early. That wasn't even for the video. Whew. All right, so through those 10 putts, I missed 3. So I'm gonna stack them up real quick. And if you wanna make this a little bit faster, you can just putt with 10 again and just remember that you've lost 3. But especially if you have 10 putters, I like just putting them up there. If you have 5 putters, you can do this as well, 3 putters as well. 2 putters is a little too little, so I would maybe either get some more putters or just say that you can miss 10 and then you're out and then figure out your high score from there. But I like having the physical manifestations of the putters. All right, well, I missed another one. Kind of embarrassed, honestly, because I feel like I've been putting better than this, but it's all good. It's also just different to be making a video while also practicing putting than just practicing putting. But there's one more thing that I want to talk to you guys about that can make practicing putting very interesting and even more trackable. So I'm gonna be making a video reviewing a bunch of different things that can help you with your putting. You've probably seen a bunch of them. A lot of people are sponsored by those companies. I think most of those are just affiliate programs, but in disc golf we call them sponsorships for whatever reason. But I'm gonna be reviewing some of those probably later towards the end of the month. I have some of them being shipped to me right now, but there's one really good disc golf aid, which I think are just putting apps. And so I was actually reached out to by Atlas Fondo about an app that they were developing called PUTT, and he gave me access to the premium version of it, but I think the base version has some good stuff. But PUTT right here is just an app that you can use to track your putting. I really like this, whatever it is, JYLY, where you make 100 putts from various distances, and then it gives you how many you made out of 100 because you can just press 1 through 5 after you putt. It seemed like there was an algorithm in it that when I made a bunch of putts from 25 feet, where I made like 5 out of 5 or 3 out of 3 or something, it would move me back. And if I missed a bunch of putts, then it would move me forward a little bit more. And so I really like that because it kept me in a range where I was making and missing a lot of putts, which is pretty similar to if you go watch the Robbie C video, what he was talking about. But I like that I have how many I made in the app right here. I think UDisc also has an app like that. I'm not sponsored by any of these guys. I have really liked the user interface of PUTT, and I've used it a little bit. I'm planning on using it a lot more, but I'll real quick just show you. So right here, it just says, do 5 putts from 33 feet. That's bad. 3 at 5. Come back into it, press the 3, and then it gives me 26 feet. And so now, if I miss a bunch from 26 feet, we'll just say 1 from 26 feet, it'll move me to 20 feet. I made 5, it'll move me back up to 33 feet. I made 3, it'll move me around. So it moves you around, it seems to be based on how well you're putting, which is really nice because then it's just less thought that goes through my head. I just press a number and it says, okay, go to this amount of feet. And then there's also a bunch of places where you can move back a little farther because I'm really focusing on 25 to 40 foot standstills right now. The main key, honestly though, is just getting reps in, especially if you're newer to disc golf like I am as of this year. I just don't have the 10,000 reps on the putting green like these other pros do who I'm gonna try to compete with hopefully this next year and then definitely the years following it on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So using things like these to make practicing putting a little more interesting, even though I'm already really invested in becoming a really good putter, is really important. If you want to learn everything that I have to say about putting, check it out right over here. I made a video that came out last Saturday. Otherwise, my forehand review and work is all about going down there, or this video about Snap, all part of Project 100, which this is like Project 101, kind of close. Dang it. Fun to finish a video and a subscriber be waiting for me to finish my video. Great to meet you guys. Okay, love you, bye.